Welcome back to our channel. I'm Eve with the Baby's Booty. Today, our video is going to focus solely on your questions and the questions that you've left on our channel. Now, I have several videos out there with many questions on them, so we're going to see how many of these questions we can get through. Now, today is the 4th of July that I'm recording this video, and I want to apologize ahead of time because I try to make sure that I record with as little noise as possible to make sure that you're comfortable when you watch the video. And I have my air conditioner running because it is kind of stuffy, but I generally cut that off for my videos. But I'm leaving it on tonight because I have my buddy in here with me. I'm not a huge fan of the 4th of July, and I'm not a huge fan of New Year's Day either, because my buddy is completely petrified of fireworks and it scares him half to death. So to have the air conditioner running covers up some of the noise, and you may hear some in the background because I have a few neighbors who are, still celebrating with their fireworks, which is, understandable. So I'm leaving the air conditioner running so that he can have some drowning out the white noise to drown out some of those explosions. So I'll introduce you guys to Jake here shortly. But what I want to do is go ahead and get into the meat of the video, and then we'll have some fun at the end. That's at least what I like to do for you guys. So let's go ahead and tackle the first question. All right, the first question that I show comes from Jaretta1000, and her question is, how did you make your thread holder that is on your wall? Well, Jaretta, my thread holder was a really cool project. I'm actually very proud of my thread holder. I saw a lot of ideas on Pinterest, but this one was my favorite, and so I decided to go with this one. So let me get up, switch the camera, and we'll actually go over to the thread board, and I'll show you exactly how I made both of them. Now, this thread holder, and I apologize for the glare on the top of my thread holder. I have fluorescent lighting in here because I'm getting old, and at 41 years old, it's really hard to see. My eyesight's getting dim, so I have to have the bright fluorescent lighting. But this particular thread holder is one of my favorites because I just adored this frame. Now, I had this frame long prior to me doing a thread holder, and it was actually gold, painted gold, but I love the detail in the floral, and I'll try and get a better up close picture of it for you here in a second. But this particular thread holder is for my sewing thread only. Everything on this board is completely sewing thread. No embroidery thread is over here, and that allows me to keep it separate. And some people may say, okay, well, why can't you use sewing thread as embroidery thread? And you can. I've seen it done. I would not recommend that, and the reason being is because your sewing thread is made of cotton, and of course we know cotton has a lot of fibers to it. So your embroidery machine, because it goes so fast and it's going in all the different directions and making out the pretty designs, well, that will cause those cotton fibers to shed more in your embroidery machine. And of course, we know that you should clean out your embroidery machine quite regularly, but it will make it gunk up a whole lot faster if you're using the cotton thread instead of, the poly rayon or the rayon or the polyester, whichever one you choose to use for embroidery. But these are, as I mentioned, sewing threads only. And what I did was I took a pegboard, which I already had some here at the house, and I cut it out to the shape of the frame, the shape and the size of the frame. and then I mounted it to the back of the frame. I can't really get into the technicalities of how I did that because I really don't remember, but 9 times out of 10 it's probably just a couple of nails or staples or whatever to put it to the back of the frame. And then I put peg hooks on here in certain locations. Like there's one there, there's one there, to hold this thread rack that I got from either Walmart or Hancock Fabrics. I can't remember which one, but this is the June Taylor rack, and I'll leave a link below on Amazon where you can get this fairly reasonable, and that's where I keep my sewing thread. So let's move over to the embroidery thread rack. Now the embroidery thread rack is the same principle. It's basically pegboard. Now I had to use 2 different pieces because I didn't have one that was the size of the entire width of this particular frame. But I did mount these 2 pieces of pegboard to the back of this frame. Now I'm gonna give you guys a tip on how I came up with this, and hopefully I didn't do this in my video of the tour of the studio. If I did, forgive me, but for those who may not have watched that video, if I even mentioned it in that video, I'll explain it. This particular frame here, I went to my local Goodwill and I found this really big frame, glass picture frame, okay? And I didn't really care for the picture, I wanted the frame. So I got the frame and the picture, took the picture out of the frame and the glass, and I used the frame and mounted the pegboard. And of course I have the different hooks on here. Like this is the hook that I use for my regular embroidery threads, and I believe this is a 2-inch hook, 2.5-inch hook, I can't recall. And then the my cones up here. Now these cones are actually sewing cones, but because this board is bigger, I went ahead and mounted my sewing cones up here. But those have a 3-4-inch peg hook for those cones. And then I do have one rack on here, just like the rack over on the sewing board, and I may eventually take that down. I'm not sure, I haven't quite made up my mind. So the pegboard is actually holding the rack, but all of these are my embroidery threads, and I have the smaller 1-inch hooks over here that hold the smaller spools. The more decorative spools, the metallics, are over on that side, and you know, a few extra little knickknacks here and there. So that's how I made my pegboard. But I wanted to point out one other thing about this particular pegboard that makes this one really cool for me. And let's switch the camera over and I'll show you what I did here. All right, so I showed you my pegboard over there, and remember I mentioned that I went to Goodwill and I found the frame with the picture and took the picture out and took the glass out and mounted the pegboard to the back of that frame. Well, I had an extra glass, so that huge glass that came out of that pegboard is where I made this. And I decided that I would do a permanent calendar, even though the dates and stuff like that is the chalk, liquid chalk, so I can write on it, kind of like the dry erase, but I decided to use chalk because to me the colors are prettier. And I make my calendar every month, so, or every couple of months, because it's 2 months. Now, just in case you ask, because I'm sure it'll probably be a question, I did the silver outline for the calendars on the back side of the glass, and I did the pink and the green tissue paper to make the calendar stand out on the back side of the glass. I also did this outline and that wording and my baby's pictures on the back side of the glass. So these are all permanent features on the back, so I can't mistakenly erase my calendar. But the writing, of course, is all chalk here and there, and where I keep my dates and what I have left to do and some sizes of some things. And so that's my message board center there. And that glass came from that frame that holds my embroidery thread. So I thought that was a really cool idea, and it actually turned out to be really neat. So that's how I made my thread holders. Oh, and my message board. Now the next question I want to address comes from Pretty Shoe Lady. And Pretty Shoe Lady asks, would you please show us how you turn your bib out? I'm having a dickens of a time doing that. I have practiced many hours and I haven't yet been successful at turning out the part where the snaps/Velcro would go. Thank you in advance. I went ahead and did a mock-up of a bib, which I'm actually going to go ahead and keep it for my new grandbaby. All right, so we have the bib cut out, all right, and I want to show you that when I sewed the bib, which I know you probably know this, but for the ones who may not know, when I sewed it, I left an opening here in the side, all right? So what I do is I'll go in, and I like to start with one of the arms, and I just slide it down on my thumb. So my thumb is up in here, and then push down and push it through to the opposite side. And then pull it through. That's one. And then I go ahead and shove the rest of the bib through and work it through the hole. And as I work it through, I pull it out as I go. And then push that all the way through. And now we're going to even this out and make sure that the seams are nice and pulled out, the creases. And there's our opening. And I know I'm going into way more than just how to turn this inside out, but ain't no creature of habit, so I'm just doing it the way I always do. And then I come here and I pull it out. And this one takes a little bit of time, but sometimes I'll just reach my pinchy fingers up in here and grab a little bit and pull. And then I'll just push the rest of it through. I mean, you have to work it out of the arm area up here, this arm part that goes behind the neck, and pull it out. And there we have both of them out of the bib. And what I'll do is turn this inside out and then top stitch it all the way around. And what I found is sometimes the top stitching doesn't quite catch this opening or the part that's tucked in to close it. So what I'll do is put a little bit of stitch witchery, or seam tape is what some people call it, and put it there, iron it shut, and then top stitch around it after this is cooled down. So it makes sure and reinforces the closing of this bib to make sure that it doesn't come apart even in the wash. So this is how we turn our bib inside out. The next question that we have is from Linda Armstrong. Can you give some information on the tension settings? I have the PE 500. The top thread is yellow and the bobbin thread is white. I just did a monogram and the entire thing came out white instead of the yellow I was aiming for. Can you advise on what the tension should be set at? Miss Armstrong, we certainly can. So let's move over to the embroidery machine so that I can give a quick demonstration on how you can determine where your tension should be set. We're here at the embroidery machine, and I have my bobbin thread is black and the top thread is going to be green. So let me move you a little closer to allow you guys to see exactly what I'm doing. Now I have my scrap piece of fabric hooped, and what I'm going to do is, if all goes well, stitch out a demonstration of what your your tension and the thread is supposed to look like. Now, someone had asked another question a while back. Why do I do the letter I or the lowercase letter L? And the reason why is because it is really quick, easy to stitch, and usually it's a satin stitch column that is stitched out, and that's exactly what we want. So we're going to go back to this one. Actually, let me check this one. Okay, we're going to do this one down here, and the reason why I'm picking that font, the lower left hand font, the very bottom one, is because it looks like the letters are a little bit thicker, and I want a pretty good idea for you guys of what a good satin stitch column looks like. So the letter I is pretty plain. Actually, let me delete that again, and we want a medium because I don't want to go too terribly big. And what I'm going to do is go into the layout, and I'm gonna move it over so that we can do several of these and give you, examples. Okay, so we're going to put our foot down, and we're going to go ahead and stitch this out. And just that quick, our satin column is done. So we're going to tell it, okay, we want you to be finished sewing, and let's take this off. Now, as I mentioned before, my bobbin thread is black. And as you see here, you don't see any black thread at all on the front of this fabric. All right, you see a nice clean satin column. Let's look on the back. Now on the back, you see a little bit of the green, and then you see the black bobbin thread. The rule of thumb for excellent tension in your embroidery machine is to have 2/3 of your back of your design, 2/3 of it should be bobbin thread, and 1/3 should be your top thread. So you should see some of your top thread on the back side, and then the majority of it your bobbin thread, but you should see some of the top thread. Now let's show you what it looks like when the tension is off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my tension. Now right now my perfect tension on my machine is set at 3. All right, so let's move it to, let's say 5, and see what happens. Now it may still stitch out okay, but I want to show you what the difference would be. So we're going to move it over, and we'll go ahead and stitch another column. Now so far it looks good. This machine has been known to make me look really silly sometimes. When I want it to do something, it won't do it. When I don't want it to do something, that's when it does it. So with my tension on 5, it's giving me some issues already. So it's not wanting to come off the machine. So let me cut it. And what I noticed it did was there's some of the black bobbin thread on top. Now my machine did not like that being set on 5. Notice there's a bit of that black bobbin at the bottom. Let's look at the back. And on the back, look at the difference between the two. Look at that wide amount of the black bobbin thread and a very small amount of the top thread. That's too little of the top thread on the back. The tension is off. And the machine also told it. The machine is like, we don't like that tension. So if you have issues on your machine and the machine, gives you some trouble, check your tension. Take a moment, at least, once or twice a week to check with just this simple process. Check and see what your tension is set at. Now I'm coming in and, oh man, it grabbed up a whole bunch of thread, and of course I don't have my tweezers with me, so give me a sec, let me go get these tweezers. So I'm gonna get down in there and grab this thread and pull it out, and yeah, it got caught in there, and I'm gonna double check and make sure it didn't like tension. I'm gonna double check, make sure there are no other threads. Now, generally, yes, I can. I'm gonna go ahead and dust it out since I've already got it open, and because some thread did get caught in there, I want to make sure it's good and out of this whole bobbin case area. So I'm gonna give it a couple of blows just in case there's a stray thread, and blow it out so we can get good and clear. And now we're gonna put everything back. And because we know that the machine does not like it on 5, we're going to go ahead and put it back to 3. Now, what happens if the bobbin thread is too loose? Now, in that instance, it's too tight. So we want to loosen it some. So I'm going to drop it down to 2.5, almost on 1. And the reason why I'm not putting it all the way down to 1 is I don't want to tell my machine. Oh my goodness. So we're going to put this back on the machine. And this time I'm going to move it over some more. And we'll do another satin stitch. Now remember, this is on 2, in between 1 and 2, right in the middle. And it looks like it's doing okay. So we'll see. All right, let's take a look. I might not have loosened it enough. Yes, I did. All right, so now let's look at that and look at the difference. You see how there's so much more of the top thread on the back than the black bobbin thread. That's too much of the top thread. All right, and my satin stitches will be too loose, even though on the front it looks okay. The front looks okay, but that back is what tells a different story. So you have to do this test to try and get your perfect top tension settings on your machine. This is the easiest way I've found to do it. Now, there are other gadgets that you can use to pull the thread through and find your tension and all that other kind. But this was the simplest, it's the cheapest to do, and it's a really foolproof way to determine what your top tension should be. The next question that we're going to entertain is from Miss Janet McKinney. Miss McKinney says, "What's the code? Thanks." Well, the code Miss Kinney is referring to is to the website Stitchtopia.com. Now, Stitchtopia.com is a website that offers embroidery designs. Some are field designs. I believe they do have a couple of applique on there. But my favorite thing to go to Stitchtopia for is their fonts. They have the prettiest swirly fonts that I found online. I mean, all the flourishes, all the swirls. If you're girly, go to Stitchtopia.com and get their fonts. You will not regret it. They have excellent stitch out of their fonts. They have some in smaller, more manageable sizes, all the way up to some really big sizes, like 7-8 inches. It's amazing to see. Now, I can't go that large just yet, but the 4x4, I stick with the 1, 2, and 3 inch size fonts, and she has them all there. So I have a referral code to that website. It's A5E57. Okay, A5E57. And if you go to Stitchtopia.com and choose to purchase some of their fonts or some of their designs, by using my referral code, you get an extra 10% off of whatever you order on their website if it's your first time ordering. And yes, it's a referral code, so she knows that I sent you guys over there. So go ahead and give them a look, and I promise you the swirls and the girliness will just have you just dreaming like a princess. So go ahead and give those guys a shout, and they'll give you an excellent deal. My next question is from CMA, and their question is, I noticed all your videos are words, monograms, and now the $sign. I love it, by the way. My question is, have you ventured out to an actual design? My uncle wants a Camaro. I don't see why not, but a little scary. Thank you. Great job in your videos. I want to mention that I am definitely loving the comments that you guys leave for me when you let me know that you enjoy the videos. That really makes this worthwhile. And I definitely feel the love every time I read my comments. That's one of my favorite things to do after posting a video, is waiting to see the awesome comments that I receive. So I do look forward to them, and please don't ever let them stop. If you want to leave me a message, please do so, and I definitely will get to reading it and leaving you a comment about it. Now, to answer your question, have I ever ventured out to a design? Let me show you quite a few that I've done. So as you see, the majority of my business, especially in the baby side, is designs. So yes, I do a lot of designs. However, what I'm finding is the monograms or the names or the business logos is what's really on and popping for my business right now. So that's why I don't really do very many designs, but I do have over a 4,000 design library. So I have tons of designs to choose from. And a car is definitely out there. Now, I'm not sure about a Corvette. I've seen other cars out there, but a specific Corvette, I don't think I've seen, but I'm sure it's out there. So just venture out online, and if I come across one by the time I edit this video, I'll leave it in the comment section below. My next question is from Miss Melissa Hollis. Hello, my name is Melissa Hollis, and it had a couple of questions. I do embroidery myself, and I was wanting to sell my items. Can you help me with that, on some pointers and doing videos, and how do you get into selling your stuff? Well, Melissa, that's a loaded question. One of the things that I would definitely suggest when it comes to selling your stuff, well, let's answer that part first, is you want to find out what it is that your market is looking for. Most people, when it comes to doing embroidery, they love monograms. So if you can find a group of people, say for instance a church or your local school, and see if maybe they would like some monogrammed items or some logos on their t-shirts. You also can find maybe at your niece or nephew's or your child's daycare, sometimes the parents would like to have book bags with the children's name on it, or their blankies, or personalize their shirts at the daycare, whatever the case may be. The thing is finding what you like to do and finding your audience that's going to purchase it. That can be easier said than done sometimes. I know when I first started, business was kind of slow until I got my name out there and people found out what I could do. But you definitely want to try and maybe give a couple of samples of your work. Say, for instance, you know a friend that's pregnant and she's about to have a baby. You could make some free baby shower gifts, maybe, for instance. And then when she has the baby shower and they ask, "Oh, that's cute, who made it?" Then that's how your name can get out there. So that's one of many different ways that you can promote your business in order to start selling. And also pointers on doing your videos. Now, videos, you have to have a certain comfortable level with talking on camera. But once you get used to talking on camera, kind of like talking to yourself in a way, you can do really well with doing videos. I mainly use my cell phone. There are times where I'll use a webcam, and sometimes I'll just use a regular digital camera. But I prefer using my cell phone, and reason being is it's small, it's portable. I can take it with me if I wanted to go on location, such as at a store or at a craft fair, and I don't have to worry about the quality, because most of your newer cell phones have excellent quality videos. So start there. Start small. And definitely keep in touch with your community, because once you start building up your community, you'll have a lot of fun doing videos. Now, I will tell you, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, especially if you are a kind of a perfectionist like I am. I don't like to have a lot of mistakes and things like that in the video, so I do a whole lot of editing to my videos, and I do all of the special effects and the title sequence and things of that nature. I do that all myself, so it takes a whole lot of time and energy to get these videos out. So be prepared for a lot of work, and I would definitely let you know that the success of your YouTube channel is definitely going to be based on the amount of work that you put into it. So I wish you the best, and let me know when you start up your channel, and I'll definitely come and follow you. Well, that was a lot of questions. I've lost count with how many questions it was that we answered today, and I didn't want the video to be too terribly long. So I decided we're going to stop right here, and we'll pick up and do a part 2 and answer some more questions later. We may do that for Thinking Thursday. Well, actually, I've already come up with a video for this Thinking Thursday, so we'll have to see if I swap them out and do that video for the next week. Even still, we're going to do a part 2 for the rest of the questions. So if you have a question you would like for me to answer in regards to embroidery, or in regards to Sew What Pro, or, you know, just a general question about myself, I don't mind personal questions either. I don't mind answering those. So just shoot me a comment below if you have any questions, or even if you want to give me a suggestion. I've received a lot of those as well, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for being so considerate to let me know what your pointers are, or what you think would be a good method to take care of something that I've done in a video. So I really appreciate hearing from everyone who takes the time to leave a message on my videos. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I have my buddy in here with me, and I want to introduce you guys to him. He's the sweetest, most lovable pooch ever, and I love my doggie to death. I actually have 3 doggies, but I have Jake in here with me today because, as I mentioned, Jake is very terrified of the fireworks. I mean, he about beat me in here to come in the studio today, because as we were walking over to the studio, there was a lot of fireworks going on, because it's just now starting to get to dusk here Tuesday, July the 4th. And so he's very terrified right now. So but I've had the air conditioner on, and it's given a lot of noise and drowned a lot of it out. So hopefully he'll be okay to sit up and take a picture with me so that you guys can meet Jake. Most people see Jake and they get terrified because he's so big. But the funny thing is, Jake is such a sweetheart. He's just the most lovable pooch ever, and he was a rescue. I did rescue him about 2 years ago, and he's been an excellent dog since then. The only thing is, when he first came, he had some separation anxiety, and of course the traumatic whatever it is he's been through in his life to make him petrified of gunshots, of fireworks, of thunder. I mean, you name it, if it's loud and it booms, he does not like it. So Jake is in here with me today, and I'm trying to keep him safe from the bad fireworks that are going on outside. So thanks for meeting Jake, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button below. I really appreciate it if you hit like and let me know that you enjoyed the video. That also lets me know that I'm doing my job in communicating clearly and effectively to you guys when I teach you something in regards to embroidery, sewing, or in the field of any type of crafting. If you wouldn't mind, I would suggest that you subscribe as well. We try and get videos out every week. Now, I was shooting for every Monday, but I think Tuesdays would be a better day. So we're doing Teaching Tuesdays, and we're also looking at doing Thinking Thursdays. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, I love interacting with each one of you. I appreciate the commendations and the comments that you're leaving I really want to know your feedback. So if you have any suggestions for videos that you would like to see, please leave that in the comments below or send me a private message. You're also free to email me at thebabiesbooty@gmail.com, and I'll leave a link to that below in the description. Now, I want to point out something that was brought to my attention, and I did not know. There are instances where you may ask me a question in the comment field, and I'll answer it with a link because I am an Amazon affiliate. So anytime that you purchase through any of my Amazon links, I do receive kickback for anything that you've purchased through Amazon, and I really appreciate those who have taken the time to click the links and make purchases through any of the suggestions that I've made on the video. By the way, if you're not an Amazon Prime member, there's a special for me going on where you can sign up for a free trial of Amazon Prime if you're not a Prime member already, and it will count towards my credits with Amazon. So if you don't mind doing that, I would greatly appreciate it. There's a link to that below as well. That does help me because I do purchase a lot of my video equipment, my tripod, and flash. I have to get a flash soon because I need a flash for the front, a light, sorry. I need a light for the front of my camera. I'll be getting that soon. And I also get a lot of my supplies, my stabilizer and things of that magnitude from Amazon. And you guys, I really appreciate any support that you're willing to give. That would help me out in that regard. So yes, I can refer you guys to Amazon. However, I'm not supposed to leave links in my responses to your questions in the comment section because because YouTube doesn't like that. So if you ask a question and you're wanting to be referred to something, what I'll wind up doing is telling you, hey, I left that link in the description box above, and you can go into the description box because I can edit that at any time and add links or take links away. So if I don't answer your question with a link, I'm sorry, it's not my rules. It's YouTube's rules, and I can't leave links in my comments because that's banned for YouTube. So I appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and I want to thank you for your time and your patience and for watching our videos. So until the next time I see you in a video, happy embroidering. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click here to view other videos in our tutorial playlist. And click here for the next video that you should find helpful. Thank you.